YouTube viewers, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe. This is a show by the people, for the people, and you, my friends, are my people. We love to see the interaction, so jump right in, leave some comments, and be a part of our community. It's what makes this show so much fun. In today's program, will women's records be restored after trans athletes jumped in these past years and made a mockery of the competition? Donald Trump would like to see it. And where are the masculine Democrats? We're looking around everywhere for them. We're not finding very many. We'll talk about that in today's program. But first, Disney. We're going to start with Mickey Mouse today. Disney walking back their DEI initiatives. Of course, we know that Disney has been at the forefront on a corporate level of a lot of the woke movement, the virtue signaling, everything that's been going on in past years. Disney is dropping DEI, and they're looking more towards business outcomes, according to a letter that was shared internally within Disney. Imagine that, trying to just go out and do good business without worrying about socially engineering everything within your company in order to satisfy the woke movement, which, of course, if there's one thing that we've learned about the woke movement, you can never satisfy it, no matter what you do. But you can see here's a lot of corporate speak in this. I'm not going to pretend that this is super entertaining to look at, but they're getting rid of their Reimagine Tomorrow initiative and blah, 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 blah. But the thing to be aware of here is we are seeing the cultural pendulum continue to swing back towards sanity. Disney was in the habit of putting disclaimers at the front of a lot of their older movies, stating that some of the things that you see in these older films are not going to necessarily be jiving with the modern culture. Look, as Elon Musk says, you can't judge the past by the prevailing cultural and ethical standards of the present, because everybody's going to fail that test. It's good to see Disney, hopefully. We'll see how it plays out. We'll see, Disney. We're watching you. But a positive indication nonetheless. A better indication, perhaps, might be Jalen Hurts. Where do you go when you win the Super Bowl? That's right. I'm going to Disney. And we've got a shot here of Jalen Hurts, I believe, in a parade at Disneyland. Does he go to Disneyland or Disney World? Is this land or world? This is world. Okay. Well, that's the only one I've ever been to. I've never been to Disneyland, but I've been to Disney World a couple of times, and look at that. Mickey Mouse and Jalen Hurts. Mickey Mouse could probably give Jalen Hurts a nice tush push. Mickey's got a lot of mass. You get Mickey line, maybe bring in Goofy, get those two behind you. I'm sure that they could shove Jalen Hurts into the end zone of fun there in Orlando, Florida. My favorite Disney movie is one that not a lot of people remember, sadly, but it was the late 70s classic, Honey, I Shrunk Dave Winfield, starring a very young Rick Moranis. That, of course, is actually, what you talking about, Ricky? That is actually Gary Coleman, of course, and the name of that movie in real life was The Kid from Left Field. And that is the best dress that Gary Coleman ever was in his life. Look at that. Look at that Sansabelt waistband there. Takes up about 1/4 the length of Gary Coleman's body. I remember seeing that movie on TV when I was a kid and thinking, I wish that I had a San Diego Padres uniform like that. But in all seriousness, Disney, I'd like to thank Disney from the bottom of my heart, because if it wasn't for your DEI and if it wasn't for your woke mentality, the very talented ESPN producer Tim, wouldn't have fallen into our laps here at OutKick and joined me like a brother to form the greatest producing team in the entire industry that we have on this program. Producing this glorious fucking show. Look at that. That's how Tim and I felt in New Orleans right there. You can guess which one's Tim and which one's me. That's me on the left and Tim on the right. That's what we looked like going down Bourbon Street last week. In the 70s, you could have a beer and enjoy some quality bro time with your orangutan. It might even help you drive your rig around while you fist fight some motherfuckers for supplemental income. That sounds like a good plan. Somehow this made sense to us at the time. I've always wondered, well, what did Clint Eastwood think when they pitched that movie to him? That's Every Which Way But Loose, I believe. And I haven't seen it in years. All I know is this guy's riding around with an orangutan who signals turns for him, riding shotgun, and then he's just stopping in barns and warehouses and wherever he could have a fist fight with somebody for extra cash. That's called living right there. Let me tell you, my friends, maybe one day when I retire from this job, I'll just get myself a monkey and a truck and go driving around the country looking for fist fights. It's American living. Oh, there's a lot of people on the left that are, well, I would say that they were looking for a fist fight with Donald Trump, but this is Maxine Dexter, a representative from Oregon, and she's got some strong words for Donald Trump, but I don't know if they came out right. Maxine, is this what you really meant?
I've been told I have 30 seconds, so I am going to tell you that we do have to, I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump. Please don't tell my children that I just did that.
Well, don't tell your husband either, Maxine. She doesn't curse very often. Obviously not very good at it. Can we see that one more time? This is my favorite video in a while, Tim. Let's roll this one more time.
I've been told I have 30 seconds, so I am going to tell you that we do have to, I don't swear in public very well, but we have to fuck Trump.
Oh, yeah.
Please,
yeah, baby. What are we going to do?
Please don't
tell me more.
My children that I just did
How's
that.
this all going to go down? You know, Donnie's liking that. Turn on the Barry White music, baby. I don't know, though. I can hear Trump right now, though. He's like, you know, this is where I wish I could do a Trump. I'd be like, she's a 2 at best. She's a 2 at best. I would never. Impossible. Would never happen. She wishes. I don't know. Well, look, I don't know. I saw that whole crowd around there. That's something that I don't think any of us want to see. What we might like to see, however, is records given back to the women who have been cheated so much by the biological males such as Leah Thomas who have competed against them. Our own Riley Gaines here at OutKick was denied the proper recognition for her performance as an NCAA swimmer. Riley tweeting, the Trump administration and the Department of Education are demanding that the NCAA and the NFHS, it's a high school organization, return all records, titles, awards, and recognition stolen from exceptional women by mediocre men. And she says this is a critical step in accountability and responsibility and looks forward to what the NCAA has to say about this. Look, I've said it time and time and time again. Fundamentally unfair. Leah Thomas, who I will call Leah Thomas, and who I will use her pronouns, but I will not say that is a biological woman, because Leah Thomas is not a biological woman. Leah Thomas is an XY chromosome biological male who underwent hormone therapy that may have mitigated some of the natural physical advantages that she had, but certainly not nearly enough for the competition to be in any way fair and a competition that was genuine. And so I think that the record should in fact be taken away. We'll watch the NCAA closely on this to see if they actually act upon it. Maxine Dexter wants to fuck Donald Trump. I got two guys here that they had no fucks to give. Can we see this? This is back when Hollywood was Hollywood. Actors were, half of them were batshit crazy, and that's the way that we liked it. Here's Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda, of course, the lead stars in Easy Rider. This is a photo of them just out somewhere living their best life back in the day. Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda pooling their fucks together that evening, only to discover that they had a collective total of 0 fucks available. Just didn't care. John Lennon one time wrote the song She Said, one of my favorite Beatles songs. There's a line in that song, she said, I know what it's like to be dead. John Lennon took that from something that Peter Fonda said to him at a party. Peter Fonda just comes up to him and says, hey man, I know what it's like to be dead. There's a guy that maybe you just want to, maybe just go to another, maybe just sidle off and find a different conversation going on somewhere at the party if somebody ever comes up to you and says that. Dennis Hopper and Peter Fonda, they couldn't find any fucks to give, and Clay Travis can't find any masculine Democrats. Where are the masculine Democratic men at? Let's think about it.
Who is the most masculine Democrat right now in America? Mayor Pete.
Is that a gay joke?
No. Mayor Pete. No. Well, no, it's just that he's not particularly masculine. Nobody's like, oh, Mayor Pete, he's a badass. Chuck Schumer. Is anybody like, hey, Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a beer to talk about the Super Bowl? Is anybody like that trying to grill? Is anybody like, hey, that's a dude I want to hang out with?
But Trump's like a grandpa.
Well, hold on.
Yeah.
Trump took a bullet in his ear and immediately stood up and said, fight, fight, fight. Every man in America and most of the women out here were impressed by that, even if the women won't admit it. She's shaking her head strong.
Meanwhile, Trump jumping up from taking a bullet to the ear saying, fight, fight, fight. Meanwhile, somewhere a Democrat's got a paper cut and said, ow, 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 that really hurts. I need a Band-Aid. He actually has a point there, truly. He has a point. Who's the most masculine Democrat? Fetterman? Is it John Fetterman running around in his hoodie and shorts? Fetterman's a guy's guy. You can have a beer with John Fetterman. He's probably the most masculine Democrat. It's true. Masculinity has left the Democratic Party. I mean, just look at this stud here before you right now hosting this show. I couldn't do it anymore. There wasn't enough testosterone over there. I had to come and find the other real men to join so that we could go out into the woods and chop down trees together and shit like that. And maybe one of my favorite ones that I encountered right of center in this country is the man that I'm about ready to welcome to the program right now. I speak, of course, of the international streaming star. He joins me from Nashville, Tennessee, Ronnie T-Shirts. And Ronnie, that's actually a point that I hadn't really considered in that way, but like, where are just, forget about the masculinity. I'm obviously kidding about, I don't look at myself as any kind of an archetype of masculinity, but I'm a guy. I'm a guy with guy sensibilities, and so are you. And it seems like we have seen very few Democrats, men, who just seem like guys, at least within leadership roles in the Democratic Party. I don't know, dude. He's got a point.
You said masculine Democrat, and all I could think of is, are we playing the oxymoron game like jumbo shrimp? Is that next? The only name that came to mind was Fetterman. You beat me to the punch, man. Like hoodie, basketball shorts, tennis shoes. I mean, I don't know. Like Coach Walz, is Coach Walz masculine? I don't think so.
Oh goodness, no. No man that waves with both of his hands simultaneously.
Jazz hands?
Is masculine.
Jazz hands?
Listen, you don't even wave at children like that. And that is no excuse for that to ever happen, Ron. I'm coming out strongly against double-handed waves. And also anybody that gives you that wave, that's a Tim Walz thing. Anybody that waves like that, not masculine. You never saw, you never saw Charles Bronson do that. I promise you.
Yeah, man. Listen, I'm not a fan of exaggerated masculinity, or I guess they call it toxic masculinity, but men should be men, right? Like men should walk on the closest part of the street when he's with his daughter or his wife or his girlfriend. And even though I've always thought about this, I mean, I guess it's just the car that hits me just won't hurt my wife as much as it hurts me, but it's still gonna get her. But it's still, you just do it, right? Like I'm the one that takes the trash out in the rain. It's just little things like that. And that to me is what being masculine. And it doesn't have to be, me want meat, me want fire. Like it just something. You just know it, right? You just know what it is. And you're right. You don't see it with a lot of Democrats.
That term toxic masculinity itself, I don't know how I feel about it, because I mean, there are some guys that are just over the top, like the Liver King or whatever, the guy who just claims that he eats nothing but raw meat.
Yes.
It's just like, okay, buddy, it's like, we get it. You're a dude,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can push it a little too far at times. But I think the real bigger problem that we have here societally is that the left just deemed masculinity, period, as toxic. And that, to me, is the issue. Regular masculinity.
Right.
Somebody who wants to get married, raise children, be protective of their wife. Somebody who stands up for what's right, who stands up for their children, men who stand up for their daughters and say, no, biological men should not be competing against them. Men who stand up and say, no, children need to be protected and should not be subjected to experimental gender mutilation surgeries when they're minors and their brains haven't fully developed yet and they don't really know what they want for the long haul of their entire life. It's masculinity that stepped up, quite honestly, Ron, and flipped this election. It really is. And we saw it, like for black voters, for instance, right? So, traditionally 90+% voting for Democrats. We saw particularly a lot of black males in this election pivot and move over to Trump. And I think that was partly masculinity driven. Guys
Absolutely.
Who were just looking at society and said, hey, look, Barack Obama, you're not going to guilt trip me into voting for the Democrats because of the color of my skin. I, as a dad, as a husband, am in a situation where I see things going on in this society. I, as a man, need to step up. And I think that is a part of the cultural shift that we're seeing right now in this country, Ron. Look, I mean, if you're going to talk about masculine names, I guess Harry Balls is a masculine name. Elon Musk has picked his adult film star name. He was actually going by the name Harry Balz, BOLZ, on Twitter for a while. I think he's switched it back to Elon Musk now. But here's a tweet from the class act Ty Cordova. Is he a professional wrestler? sounds like he would be. He says, Democrats, hairy balls in female sports. Yes. Hairy balls auditing the government. No. It is so funny to me that they're on TV referring to hairy balls. Trump has changed his name. Musk has changed his name to Hairy Balls, and they're sitting there in their serious news person voices having to say these ridiculous things. I think that Elon obviously enjoys trolling them in that way, but the same thing with Big Balls, this 19-year-old whiz kid that Trump has turned on government fraud and government waste, and everybody's freaking out over that. The same people that were just fine getting their walking orders from a 13-year-old girl. How did Greta Thunberg, or Thunberg, however you pronounce her name, how dare you? How dare you? And then we see her out there a few years later rolling around with the pro-Palestinian contingent. The people are whining about 19-year-olds working for Doge, the same people who wanted you to listen to an autistic teenager from whatever country she's from, Ron.
Somewhere
Greta,
in Scandinavia.
There. It's just funny, isn't it, the hypocrisy of all of it? Just the complete and utter rank hypocrisy.
Every single situation, there's hypocrisy. It doesn't end.
If it was a 19-year-old, David Hogg, who just became the vice chair of the DNC, he became a voice as a teenager, and he was a brave, courageous, wise teenage voice, and he's now parlayed that into a career in Democratic politics, and everybody thought that was wonderful. He was heroic and smart and the best of the next generation.
Wise beyond his years.
Yeah. And you turn a 19-year-old onto government waste and fraud, and suddenly we got a problem with that. I mean, these are the same people that think that 14-year-olds are equipped to make a decision of cutting their genitals off or removing their breasts. 14-year-olds can do that. 13-year-olds, 15-year-olds, they can do that. But if a 19-year-old comes in and starts spotting government waste, well, suddenly there's a problem. But there is some positivity, Ron. Take a look at this. This is Obi Toppin of the Indiana Pacers rocking a Caitlin Clark Rookie of the Year shirt to the game last night. Cool to see the NBA supporting the WNBA, regardless of race, regardless of creed, just an athlete supporting another athlete because they like what they see that they're doing. Why can't we just get back to simple? Remember on this show, Ron, when I said I like things that are awesome and I like people that are awesome? I don't care. Yep. Obi Toppin thinks Caitlin Clark's awesome. That's what should unite us. I think Dak Prescott might be delusional. Let's take a listen.
From that level. I feel like we compete with the Eagles and beat them for the most part when we played them. I don't want to say check the record when they're the guys holding the trophy right now. So credit to them. They've earned it and they deserved it by all means. But, yeah, very close, especially even watch the NFC game, the NFC Championship. And those two teams that we battle against each and every year a couple of times. And as I said, feel confident about we've gotten the better part each and every time. To see them, to see it in such a dominating fashion, credit to them. It's our turn and it's on us. All right.
So Dak thinks that the Cowboys will be right there with the Eagles.
That close, Ricky. That close.
It's that close. It's that.
I believe that my quarterback may have suffered some type of a traumatic brain injury. It's not all sunshine and glory holes, Dallas Cowboys.
Look, I'll give him credit for, I want my quarterback to believe. If your quarterback
and what was he
believe,
supposed to say? I mean, what was he? We would drill him. We would drill him if he would have said, "Yeah, we're not that good. We need to get better." So he was kind of put in a no-win situation there. But the answer that this is the answer he gave, and it just like, yeah, Dak, you're not close, buddy.
Yeah, I mean, people are going to say that Dak's full of shit. People thought that Joe DiMaggio was full of shit, Ron. Back when he used to tell young men that he used to be married to Marilyn Monroe. That's right, boys. I was married to Marilyn Monroe. No way. I was. This old guy's full of shit. I'm not full of shit. You imagine trying to tell a group of guys in their early 20s, I had sex with Marilyn Monroe. Yeah, of course you did. Sure you did, Grandpa. Grandpa's got dementia. No, really. I did. I swear, I did. I made love to her multiple times. It was very good. All right, yeah, sure. Donald Trump, among other things, maybe the next executive order that we get, Ron, is going to address the dynamic kickoff. Did you see Trump posting on social media, truthing that the worst part of the Super Bowl by far was watching the kickoff, whereas the ball is sailing through the air, the entire field is frozen stiff. College football doesn't do it and won't do it. Whose idea was it to ruin the game? But, Ron, here's another issue. There were 13 kickoffs in the Super Bowl, and all 13 of them were touchbacks. So, dynamic kickoff or not, there were no kickoffs to be had. I think you got to move these kickers back. Whether it's going to be a dynamic kickoff or not, the NFL, they're saying all the things that they're going to say. They're saying that kickoff returns were up 57% over 2023. Concussions were down 43%. Okay, but Ron, I did a little bit of research this morning. There were 1.7 kickoff returns per team per game this year. So that means there were like 3.4 kickoff returns in an average NFL game.
Okay.
1.7 per team.
Sure.
I went back, I looked at 1984, I looked at 1994, I looked at 2004, and I assume 2014 was probably the same. All three of those years were right at about 4 per team. So the football that you and I grew up on throughout our life, there were about 8 kickoff returns attempted per game for a team. We're less than half of that now, even with the dynamic kickoff. There were only 1.1 per team in 2023. Okay, so kickoffs, there were 2 kickoff returns a game. They moved that up. They almost doubled it in 2024. So the dynamic kickoff did have some effect, but we're just not seeing action on that play. 13 touchbacks, whether you keep the dynamic kickoff, because I can't see them going back. I'd like for them to go back, but I can't see them going back. But one thing that they can do is move these incredible kickers that we have in today's NFL, move those guys back 5 yards, or maybe move those guys back 10 yards so that we at least see some kickoff returns. Because 13 touchbacks and then more commercials is boring as fuck.
Don't we need to do a little deep dive into injuries too and say, okay, so in the past 5 years before this new dynamic kickoff, how many, and I'm not talking about ankle sprains or anything like that, but how many, let's just call them devastating injuries, whether it be somebody goes into concussion protocol or somebody's knee gets blown out, something like that. How many of those injuries happened on average per game in the last 5 years? And then we need to see, did it go down this year? Because that's why they did it, was because they didn't
look, if you're going to play special teams, we know now. Okay, like if you're going to go be in UFC or you're going to be in bare knuckle boxing, or for God's sake, if you're going to go and you're going to participate in power slap, where Dana White just has stupid idiots standing across from each other, just trading. You know what you're getting yourself into in 2025, okay? Maybe they didn't know that when we were kids. We didn't realize the extent to which it could fuck you up for life if you got a bunch of concussions. Well, now we know, okay? It's just like when people go out and drive race cars around a track at close to 200 miles an hour. They know that that's dangerous. Are there not enough people out there that are just willing to go down the field and try to tackle somebody, and they're willing to accept some concussions.
Yeah.
I know that's easy for me to say, and maybe that sounds cruel and heartless or whatever, but I
sounds
think
like toxic masculinity to me.
Yeah. You're not going to find a Democrat with this opinion, Ron. You're going to have to go look it hard. They probably got their baby in one of those things that Zach Galifianakis had in The Hangover. I don't know. But anyway, look, dude, we at some point we just have to say, look, this is inherently a dangerous activity. And yeah, we can take more danger out of it, but when the danger that you're taking out of it makes the product objectively worse and less entertaining, maybe you just got to find some guys with the hairy balls that are willing to go down that field, and if they get concussed, they're crazy enough.
There will always be someone willing to.
Ron, it may not matter soon enough. I don't know if you're aware of this or not. I hate to be the one to break it to you here live on the air, but there's an asteroid that might hit the Earth in the relatively near future. NASA previously had this thing rated as a 1% chance of hitting the Earth. They have now increased those odds. An asteroid now that has a 1 in 43 chance of striking the Earth. They're calling it a city-killing asteroid. So, are you feeling lucky today, punk? Well, are you? 43-1 is not impossible, Ron. So, I don't know. This isn't going to be like a dinosaur killing event, but believe me, we don't want it to hit the Earth either. It's as tall as the Leaning Tower of Pisa. I am told. Ever how tall that is.
Do we get to pick the city?
Good sized chunk of space rock.
Do we get to pick the city?
Do we get to? Will it be more devastating to a city than Democratic policies? Is the question, Ron.
My
what
first
will
choice,
devastate a city quicker?
I mean, Chicago would have been up there, but you and Tyler live there, so no way on that. So I don't know. I'm gonna have to think about which city I want to nominate.
Well, Ron, when they tell me there's a 1 in 43 chance, I believe them because I trust the science.
Oh,
I trust the science just like Bob Cousy used to trust the science, Ron, when he was smoking micronite filtered Kents back in the 1950s. Look at this. More scientists and educators smoke Kent. It's all due to that micronite filter. And as I tweeted here, Bob Cousy, 96 years old today, because he trusted the goddamn science, Ron. That micronite filter took care of him. Oh, did he have another birthday, Tim? Is he 97 now? I don't know how old he is. Tim's telling me in my ear a couple of days ago. But I looked it up. Bob Cousy, 96 years young. Just heating darts. No problem. Somebody looked this up, and look, I don't know for a fact that this is true, but somebody looked into this and told me that the filters had asbestos in them. I don't know if it's true or not, but it didn't stop Bob Cousy. I'll tell you that. He's still out there breathing just fine, from what I can tell. Yeah, 96 years old as of this past August, Ron. Not letting it slow him down. He spent a lot of time in Flavor Country, almost as much time in Flavor Country as he did in Boston Garden. And Ron, we have reached the juncture in the program where I have an inquiry that I would like to make with you, and that inquiry is, of course, what the fuck, Ron?
So before the NFL started putting their slogans in the end zone, the end racism, like I was always iffy on the whole racism thing, but then man, the NFL said end racism, and I'm like, done.
I was like, done. Why would you do that anymore when it's right there in the end zone?
Yep. And then do you think
that there were chapters of the KKK that just broke up?
Absolutely.
Because they watched the Fox broadcast. They were just like, no meeting next week, guys.
Yeah, advertising.
I saw the end zone.
advertising works. I mean, I used to hate, and then I'd said, wait, I should choose love. It says it right there. I should choose love.
Yeah.
And now I love. It's changed my life. Ricky.
You didn't know that love was an option.
Nope. And so
until you saw
I'm
it on the
about
field,
to.
Ron. It's not your fault.
I'm about to change your life, Ricky. You have been very vocal about your support of Trump and Musk and what they've done in the first, what are we at, 3 weeks now? The first 3 weeks or so?
Yeah, I want you to 3.5 weeks in. It's been an eventful
I want you to pick.
Weeks.
You're gonna watch this video, and it's all gonna change. So be ready.
Uh-oh.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Josh. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon's kept within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail.
I'm on Trump's side. It's the side that I'm on. If I hadn't been on Trump's side, I think that video would have probably pushed me there. What in the world, man? It's just cringe. Cringe, Ron.
Here's what I want to know, Ricky. All right. You do tweets in this style all the time. You're like, hey, Bob, I have an idea. Tell me what your idea is. What if we do this, and this? And it's just something preposterous, right? Somebody in that group of dumbasses was like, you know what? I wrote a song. It's an anti-Doge song. It's against Musk. And we even have a line where we say we should put Trump in jail. Do these people actually...
they got excited about that.
Do these people actually think that there's somebody out there who's going to watch this and go, yeah, they make a valid point. They make a valid point.
I almost wish that I could have my vote back, Ron. Now, after
might have been
that. I mean, you put it that
dumbest,
way.
That might have been the dumbest, worst thing I've ever had to listen to in my life. And because I had
was that the same event where the lady said that everybody was going to fuck Trump?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that'll show him.
Oh my God!
I don't know what they're even doing, dude. I mean, listen, this ain't it. If they want to win people back over, if they want to rebuild the shambles of the Democratic Party that they're just living in right now, they're going to have to come up something better than that, bro. That awful. Ain't it.
Awful.
So bad. You think there were any masculine men there?
There wasn't a single masculine man there at all. Could you imagine being like, yo, man, check out, I'm all over Twitter. They're like, are you serious? Yeah. I was at this event in Washington, D.C., and there was it was kind of like a concert, and I was like in the back row. You can check me out there. Like, how embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing, Ricky. Yeah.
You should have been there playing the cowbell during it, like Jameis Winston in New Orleans. Which side are you on? And you should have been like ping, ping,
dude,
ping, ping, ping.
It's stuck in your head, isn't it? Which side are you on? It's stuck in your head now. All day, you're going to be singing that.
Jameis is living rent-free in my head, and I'm not even complaining, dude.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Is that an old song? Are they reappropriating like some civil rights era type song there?
No, I think it was I think it was an original. I
don't know. It sounds vaguely familiar, like they took a once noble civil rights anthem and then just rewrote it.
I don't know. So
it goes back to 1931. That song, Ron. They just changed the lyrics around to suit.
So I do not know how.
Florence Reese, is that the name, Tim? For Kentucky. It was written by a Kentuckian. So see, there you go. Union,
Those are your-
a union
those are your people.
organizer from Harlan County, Kentucky. That's over there where they have all the coal mines.
Those are your
Shit, it was
people.
probably a coal miner's anthem back
Yeah.
in the day, Ron.
Learn something new every
those
day on
coal
the Ricky
miners
Cobb
are
show.
Spinning around in their graves now, my friend.
Every
I promise
day.
you. Those dead coal miners, all those guys who died of black lung in Kentucky in the fucking 1920s and 30s, they weren't with it. They'd probably be in favor of the Gulf of America, though, Ron. Those dead
So,
coal miners.
How do we?
It's about time.
How do we
called it
know?
that.
Like, how do we know when it's official? Right? Like, I know Trump said he wanted it, and then he signed something that said that's what it is. But I mean, who truly is the governing body of naming stuff? Right? Who knows? But Google and Apple, they have changed them. So if you check out your Google
All that
Maps,
matters to us.
right there,
Isn't
it is.
that amazing? Like my entire life, I need to practice being able to do a Trump because there are so many places where that would be handy. But did he just wake up one day and he was just like, Gulf of America has a beautiful ring to it. It's now the Gulf of America. And
That was
there
pretty
it
good.
is suddenly. We're going to be producing maps with this on it. Are these going to be up in classrooms? You know, remember your teacher had the map
the
on a
pull down.
string at the
The pull down.
Yeah, the pull down map. Are we going to be this is probably great for map makers. They're probably like, "Oh my god."
You think Big
we
Map
just
is behind
created
this?
A reason that this could be a big map agenda. Follow the money.
Yep.
Ron, does Trump have any investments in map companies? Because I will tell you,
Rand McNally.
suddenly that map that map that's been up in your high school classroom since
rid of it.
1959, guess
rid of it.
what? Gonna need a new one now.
Hey, OutKick fans on YouTube, if you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button and make your way over to OutKick.com where you can watch the full episode.